Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're plugging into the high-voltage world of fossil fuel power plant operators.
We're going beyond the simple stuff, talking career paths, AI's role, and yeah, even some of the cool tech, changing how these plants work.
Right on. Whether you're just curious about this career or already polishing your resume, we've got a RoleCatcher career guide, info about their AI platform, and some seriously interesting facts about this whole sector. But, gotta start somewhere. What does a fossil fuel power plant operator actually do all day?
It's more than just, shoveling coal these days.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Think of it like conducting a huge orchestra, but instead of instruments, you're managing these massive generators, turbines, boilers, all to make sure the electricity is flowing smoothly and safely. Okay, so less Beethoven, more megawatts. And with that much power, there must be a ton of responsibility too, right? Keeping the lights on for, what, potentially millions of people.
No small feat, for sure. And our RoleCatcher guide, it emphasizes just how critical safety and compliance are in this job. You're following strict regulations, environmental standards. We're talking serious stuff to avoid any, shall we say, shocking incidents.
Yeah, I imagine a power plant mishap isn't the best thing to have on your resume. Speaking of tech, the guide mentioned combined cycle power plants. Sounds kind of futuristic to me. What's that about?
Oh, it's pretty cutting-edge stuff. Basically, these plants take the heat from the exhaust, the turbines, and they use it to power steam turbines. Way more efficient, way better for the environment. So even with fossil fuels, there's a push to be greener.
So, not your grandpa's power plant anymore, huh? Sounds like this job takes technical know-how, attention to detail, and a whole lot of responsibility. But is it the right career for you? Let's look at the pros and cons from the guide, starting with the good stuff, the perks.
Well, the salary's nothing to sneeze at, I'll tell you that. These are well-paying jobs, and often with excellent benefits, job security. Power plants aren't going anywhere soon, and skilled operators are always in demand. Plus, there's room to move up the ladder.
High salary, job security, tempting perks these days, for sure. But every job's got its downsides. What about the challenges? What did the guide flag as potential drawbacks?
Well, you got to be aware of the environmental impact. Working with fossil fuels, even with cleaner tech, you're still contributing to emissions. And the guide, it mentions potential health risks with the work environment. Plus, it can be physically demanding high-stress situations.
So, not exactly a walk in the park. Sounds like you need a certain kind of personality to thrive in that world. Someone okay with big responsibility, not afraid of hard work, and, well, aware of the trade-offs involved. I'm curious, for our listeners, which of those factors stands out most to you? Finding the right career is all about matching it to your values, what you can handle day to day. But here's the catch. Even getting your foot in the door is a whole different ballgame these days, thanks to AI.
You're hitting on a huge point. Applying for jobs now, it's like sending your resume into a black hole sometimes, especially with bigger companies using more and more automated systems to filter applicants.
Kind of like those online quizzes, what kind of power plant are you? But instead of a fun result, you just hope the algorithm doesn't toss you in the reject pile.
Exactly. And those systems, they're looking for keywords, specific skills. Your resume's got to speak their language, or you might not even get seen by a real person.
So how do you beat those bots, those resume sorting robots? That's where RoleCatcher comes in.
You got it. Think of RoleCatcher as, like, your secret weapon for job hunting. It digs into those job descriptions, really figures out what those employers want, even the stuff they don't come right out and say.
So instead of sending out the same old resume everywhere, you can tailor it, like become a resume ninja thanks to RoleCatcher.
Totally. And he can point out where your resume is lacking, suggest how to make it pop, even connect you directly with companies that are hiring. They've got this network, over 9 million employers. That's huge.
9 million. That's not a network. That's like a small planet. Having that kind of reach in this job market, that's got to be a game changer.
You said it. Imagine having a direct line to the companies looking for your skills. But let's say you get the interview. RoleCatcher's got your back there, too. They've got tools to help you nail that.
It's like a career coach, on demand, right in your pocket. But before we get to the interview stuff, what about moving up in this field? What's the career path look like, according to that RoleCatcher guide?
They lay out 3 main stages. You start entry level, then become a junior operator, and finally you reach the top. Senior operator, more experience, more responsibility, and bigger paycheck as you go.
Makes sense, right? Learn the ropes, then you're the one in charge. Can you walk us through what each level actually does, though?
Sure thing. Entry level, you're kind of like an apprentice, helping out the seasoned operators, observing, getting to know the equipment, the procedures. It's real hands-on learning.
So lots of shadowing, Taking notes. Maybe fetching coffee sometime.
Maybe, huh? But hey, it's valuable. Then you get to junior operator. Now you're more hands-on with the equipment itself, keeping an eye on things, doing routine maintenance, troubleshooting when something acts up.
Making sure all those gauges are reading right, turbines are humming along.
You got it. You're responsible for keeping things running smoothly, basically. And then you reach the peak. Senior operator. They're like the conductor of this whole power plant orchestra.
Calling the shots, making the big decisions, keeping everyone safe. Must take nerves of steel.
No kidding. They oversee everything. Maintenance schedules, training the new folks, making sure that whole plant's a well-oiled electricity-generating machine.
Speaking of well-oiled machines, let's get back to RoleCatcher and how they help you ace that job interview. Because even with skills, experience, you gotta nail that interview. What's different about this compared to, like, just Googling interview questions?
This is where they really shine. Remember that huge library of stuff they have all about different careers and skills? Well, they use that to build this massive collection of practice interview questions. Over 120,000.
120,000 questions. That's enough to make anyone nervous. But it's not just about how many, right? It got to be good questions, the right questions.
Right on. RoleCatcher doesn't just throw random stuff at you. It's tailored to the specific job, even the specific career you're going for. So if you want to be that fossil fuel power plant operator, you're practicing with the questions that'll actually come up.
Like having a cheat sheet, but better. You're not memorizing, you're learning how to think on your feet.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part. RoleCatcher actually gives you feedback, powered by AI. You can record yourself answering, and it'll analyze how you did, where to improve, even give tips on sounding more confident.
Wow, that's high tech. It's like having a personal coach, but virtual, giving you personalized advice. That's amazing.
It really is. See, it's not enough to just have the skills anymore. You got to know how to show them off. RoleCatcher helps you do just that.
Yeah.
But there's one more big thing we got to talk about.
I think I know where you're going with this. We've talked about the job, the skills, the interview. But what about the future? Renewable energy is growing fast. What does that mean for someone thinking about fossil fuels as a career?
Yeah, it's the big question, right? Like, are these jobs going to, go extinct as we move toward wind and solar and all that?
It's definitely a time of change, that's for sure. But here's the thing. Switching to renewables, it's not like flipping a switch, It's going to take time. Fossil fuels, they're going to be around for a while still. In fact, the RoleCatcher guide, it even says those plants, they'll still need maintenance, right? So skilled operators, they're still going to be in demand, even as we add new energy sources. So it's less about a sudden crash, more like a gradual shift, a changing energy landscape, which probably means if you're in this field, you got to be ready to adapt, right?
Absolutely. And it's something that comes up a lot in RoleCatcher stuff, actually. The need to keep learning, keep developing your skills, certifications, going to conferences, keeping up with the latest tech. That's how you thrive in this kind of environment.
It's not just about knowing the power plants of today, but being ready for whatever comes next, whether it's wind-powered, solar-powered, who knows what the future holds.
Exactly. And think about it. The skills you learn as a fossil fuel power plant operator, troubleshooting, understanding how energy works, keeping things safe, those are valuable no matter what. The energy sector's huge, and as it changes, the people who can adapt, they're the ones who'll succeed.
It's true. The only constant is change, especially in a field like this. But what I'm hearing is this isn't a reason to avoid the field. It's a reason to be ready to learn, to stay ahead of the game.
100%. And that's what I like about RoleCatcher. They're all about giving people the tools to do that. You know what really struck me? Their focus on personalization. Using tech, not just to find any job, but to help you build the best version of your career.
Like taking those old school career centers with the counselors and job boards and giving it a serious AI upgrade that anyone can use.
Exactly. It makes these resources available to everyone, levels the playing field, gives people the power to shape their own futures,
Yep. And that feels like the perfect note to wrap things up on. We've covered what it takes to operate a fossil fuel power plant, how the energy sector is changing, and the cool ways tech is changing the job hunt. But I think the biggest takeaway here is be ready to adapt, keep learning, and know how to show off those skills in a way that gets noticed.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's
It's not just what you know, it's how you adapt, how you keep growing, and how you present yourself in a world full of opportunity.
words to live by for sure. Thanks for joining us for this electrifying deep dive into the world of fossil fuel power plant operators. And until next time, stay curious.